have a question, we have microphone holders. That will turn it over to Coach Jensen.
Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. Is it just me, or does it seem like just yesterday we were all gathered together in May when I took the new role? Man, it's just been a whirlwind, but just such a fun ride so far. A lot of people ask me what's different, and I say nothing, but in some ways everything. Kind of how I feel. I'm new but old, or old but new. But it's just been really great to get to know our young women. When I first, took the job, getting to know our new freshmen, they had not yet quite arrived, and now I've gotten to spend a lot more time, obviously, with them, and especially our upperclassmen. Spending time with them in this new role has also been just really a special time. And we talked a lot about, we got next. And I've spoken about that often at different like fundraisers or things like that. And we just talk about that we're really been so blessed because some of us have been here all those years ago and last year. And the ones that have signed up that weren't here last year, the one thing we all have in common is we are so excited that we got next. And I think we're just so focused on the future. I've really enjoyed getting this team collectively together. And now as it becomes more and more real, right? The scrimmages are one thing in May and June. They start to take on a little bit different feel when it's September and October. And when we say scrimmage, we're scrimmaging against our men's practice squad. So it's definitely exciting. The buzz is in the air, and I can't wait for all of you to meet this new team in about 15 minutes. So let's get to the fun part, but I'll open it up for questions now.
From who and what has been the best advice you've received and have really taken to heart since May?
I've had a lot of great advice. People that I've solicited, unsolicited. Lisa Bluder has been great, right? I'll tell you one interesting thing. At the Big Ten meetings in Los Angeles, that was the first time that the men's and women's basketball coaches and football coaches were all together. And I was very new at that point. And I think, I don't know, maybe 5-6 days I'd been in this role. So, I often tell our freshmen that there will be many times in life when you're a freshman where you have the butterflies and you're trying to figure out the hallways and, what's my locker combination? And I felt that when I went to the Big Ten media days, right? Or the Big Ten meetings, because you're trying to fit in, but you're also trying to glean and know, knowledge. But Coach Day from Ohio State head football coach, he was speaking, and at the end of a night, it was the most of a social time, and I was kind of getting ready to leave, and he came over and he reached out his hand, and I'd gotten to visit with him when we played at Ohio State last year. As his kids, we were around at a shoot around or whatever. We just happened to see him. But anyway, he just offered some really good advice, and I was really appreciative of that. I think sometimes in this really business aspect of sport is sometimes you can just, elevate people, or it becomes such a business, and, football people are in their world, and men's basketball people in their world, and women's basketball, track, whatever. But that was just a cool moment because he was just a head coach welcoming a new head coach, and I'll never forget that. And it was one of the moments I wish, those of you who know me, I wish my brother was still alive because he would have loved that moment, right?
Jim,
hey.
Back here. We've got the news that we're going to be missing Sydney for a little bit this month. I don't know how her injury progress is coming along. If she's going to be back in for the regular season opener or not. And so overall, any other injury updates or anything to be mindful of right now?
Yeah, thank you, Owen. The injuries have been interesting, and they always are when it comes to sport. You never want to think about them. You don't really want to prepare for them, but you certainly have to understand that they're a possibility. And I think if there's been one thing that's been challenging or a bummer, is the fact that Sydney and Hannah Stalkey, inarguably, two of our key components coming back, have never practiced together since we ended our season last April. So that's been, you know, when you can look at it two ways, disappointing, and it is in that regard to build your chemistry, to get Lucy understanding how Hannah plays and understanding how Sid plays, but unfortunately, we just haven't had them together at the same time. So that has been definitely a challenge. The positive, it does give other people a lot of reps. It gives, you know, some of the young people, you know, a nice audition. Some of our returners, it gives them a nice audition. But that's something that you can't discount. That's a lot of days missed in the summer, a lot of days missed this fall where you just can't get that synergy. And the offense that we run, it takes time. It takes time. You know, there's always been you know, for our staff, when you put that group together, you hold as long as you can, because you want to give, you know, fair time for everybody to show that they can earn that starting spot or earn those minutes. But there comes a point where you have to put a group together, because the way this offense runs, there's lots predicated on that comfortability in the reads. So that's my biggest concern, is we've lost a lot of time where the upperclassmen who know what they're doing, they haven't been able to set the standard. But with that being said, I remain excited, and I really believe the younger ones are giving us all they got, and they're doing a good job trying to pick it up.
Chad Leistico, Des Moines Register. I realize it's a long list, but from what you've seen from this young team, developing team, what will you miss the most without Caitlyn Clark?
Who is that? Yeah, you know, I think Caitlyn is rare and Caitlyn is special, but anytime, I'll go back to Caitlyn, what was rare and especially special about her, but anytime you lose a very senior heavy class, or maybe I should say experienced class, there's just a gap for a while, because you cannot, I don't care how great that freshman class coming in, there's no speedy trick for experience. There is no, it doesn't matter. All of us in this room, whether I take this head coaching job, we all move up in whatever our fields are, you just have to go through it. You just have to fall on your face a few times. You have to make a few mistakes. You get some glorious moments. So what we'll miss about the last era is that experience and what it feels like to go into Maryland, what it feels like to, you know, come off of a loss, what it feels like to be great, and to know what it feels like and to expect it again and again and again. That is how Caitlyn came in as a freshman, because the great ones always do. I mean, I will never forget her first press conference after she signed. Is she stated what she wanted to do, which is to go to, you know, take Iowa back to a Final Four. Well, she got 2, right? So they're rare and special. So Caitlyn's ability to empower those around her to believe in possibly what the others didn't think possible, that's what you'll miss initially. But collectively, aside from Caitlyn, you just miss, like when Megan Gustafson graduated, you just miss that experience. But you can't do what we do if you're so fixated on the experience, because Megan didn't get experience without our opportunity to get a coach her up. And Caitlyn didn't become Caitlyn, and Kate didn't become Kate, and Gabby and all the others without the ability to coach them up and all the challenges you have along the way. You know, it's so easy to look back and the last 3 or 4 years. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was awesome. Well, there were some times it was like, oh my gosh, are we ever going to get this figured out? But that's the beauty of what coaching is. So yes, we will miss all of that, but my staff and we are so excited about the next chapter and trying to do it all again in a different way that we don't spend much time on what we're missing. We're just really focused on, man, look at what we got.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, how you doing?
What's going on? You guys sold out your season again. I know you said when you opened your presser, months ago, you're all of this fan base, and you guys now have this, role of continuing to grow the game with Caitlyn and WNBA, I suppose. Like, how exciting is that to you to know that you guys are going to be once again playing in front of a sold-out crowd every season?
Amazingly exciting. I think there's been a few moments I've had in my personal coaching profession, dating way back to Drake, early years here, later years here. But that moment when marketing, I think it was Brandy Britt, who does a phenomenal job, all of our people do, Kelsey Lavadier, when they started to kind of hint a little bit like, man, it's looking good, I don't think I really grasped that. But then when they called and said, hey, they're sold out, that was a moment. A testament to all that was, and really a testament to this fan base of their belief in not only what was, but I think what can be. And that kind of thinking is right up my alley, right? Is just the possibilities. But for the fans to be as excited as they were a year ago about such a young and rebuilding and youthful perspective, that is just really cool. And I don't know what I did, in my life to get to have that opportunity, but I just feel really blessed because a lot of coaches, and I said this in my opening press conference, and when I got the job, it isn't like this everywhere, and it really isn't. And I think that was just a testament to, like, it isn't. I don't think, you can research it, but I'm not saying I'm accurate, but I haven't read that anybody else has done that yet. How blessed are we to get to play here, and I get to coach here, so very, very cool moment. Also, we want to live up to that respect, so we're working like crazy. We want to continue to put a really great, fun team on the floor. So I don't know if we needed the extra motivation, but I certainly know my staff and I, we want to make sure everybody continues to have a really great experience when they come to Carver. Yeah.
Hey, Coach. I want to ask you about ball handling because a lot's been made of obviously the scoring gone and the shooting from Caitlyn and from Gabby, et cetera. But you lose Molly Davis. You get a lot of ball handling in. Kenise Johnson, I'm curious about her development. Can you talk about the guards and how that's going to be remedied, that loss? Yeah,
I think, we have a lot of kids who played either the 1 or 2 position in high school. Certainly Lucy Olson, that was a great addition that we had, needed one. So I feel comfortable with who can handle the ball and who's going to handle the ball. In our system, we've started 3 high school point guards in our Elite 8 year. So they all have a certain ability to do that. I think that what's different, the IQ with ball handling, the experience with ball handling, that will be what you'll see a little bit being different, because again, it goes back to how many presses did Caitlyn break? How many presses did Gabby help her break? Because she knew that press break like the back of her hand, right? When Caitlyn got blitzed, we knew exactly where to roll, how to get the angle for her. So that all takes time. The ball handling kids, I think their skills are good. They just have to be in situations. And every coach in the country will tell you, no matter what their situations were in high school, it ain't nothing like they're gonna see now, right? Everybody's bigger, faster, stronger. The schemes are so much more complex. So we are thrilled with the skill. We just gotta get that skill ready to match the moment. And the moments of, this non-conference, there's going to be a whole lot of them that are going to be very, very challenging. So I think I really do. I think collectively our guard court is solid. I'm excited to also get Aaliyah Guyton back. She is still not practicing yet either, and she would be, slotted as the backup to Lucy Olson. So practices have been challenging. In that regard, we don't have a true point backup. So I've slid other kids over that need to kind of help hold serve in that. Taylor Strimlow is more of a wing guard, but she's crafty and fun and gutty. And so she hasn't shied away from trying to run the point position when we need to give Lucy a break. Who else do we got on there? Callie Levine's been solid playing, trying to help with that. Every guard that's a 1, 2, 3, we've had to slide him over to the point guard position at some point during practice. So they're getting experience, but I hope we obviously don't have to resort to putting some of those kids in that point guard slot. But you could, foul trouble and whatnot.
How you doing?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the freshman class. You mentioned Aaliyah Guyton, but feels like a group that is certainly talented enough to break into the rotation, whether it's starting or coming off the bench. Who has stood out the most in practice so far, and what do you kind of see from that group in terms of impact this year?
I think we have a really solid, great freshman class. We're pretty well versed in most of the positions, except like maybe a true big. But the versatility of Tegan Malini, she's a big forward. She can post up a little bit. She's got a really quick, good 3 shot. So she's been doing a lot of great things for us. Taylor Strimlow, I've mentioned, she's crafty, she's shifty. She's not afraid to take a chance on a pass, and that's kind of fun. And thankfully, we're used to that with Caitlyn, right? So when she's trying to whip it from a long way away, we're able to manage that. But what I like about that is she sees the court, and she's not a true point guard, and she's edgy. She's willing to take a little risk. And what's important about that for freshmen is a lot of times they're just so worried about learning it and doing it perfectly. Taylor's ability to kind of push the edge, that makes you better. It makes herself better, but what I like about that, she has a freedom to play for us. She has a freedom, to be like, hey, I'm gonna try this. No one's told me I can't do this, so I'm gonna try it. And that's really important, I think, to becoming all that you can be when you're not so worried about making a mistake. So I think those two are kind of standing out. Ava Hayden is coming. She's a really nice big player. She's versatile. She's very athletic. I'm excited we have Randy Henderson back for many reasons on our staff, but as many of you will recall, Randy was our first all-big center here. So I'm glad that Ava's going to have 4 years, learning from her. So those 3 are, getting some valuable minutes in rotations of which we need, right? They're our biggest needs.
Mark.
Hey, Coach. Because of how close you and Lisa were and how much you talked, maybe the answer to this is nothing. But I'm wondering, in the first few months of this job, what aspects of this job maybe were a little more surprising to you or more challenging than what you were expecting?
That's a good question. When I think about the challenges of this job, I think the unique thing isn't that anything's been surprising, it's just now my viewpoint, right? We can kind of joke, you slide 6 inches over and it's different, or I'm just now the next office over. But the viewpoint of which you view it now, that I think is different. I think, or I'd like to think, being, one of her right hand, along with Jenny for 32 years, that I was about as empathetic to that viewpoint as you could be. But I always knew at the end of the day it was her viewpoint. And the pressure was hers, the end of the day decisions were hers. So I feel like that, just the weight of it, but in a good way. I wouldn't say maybe I sleep as easy, just because the viewpoint and the responsibility of it, but I love it too at the same time. And I think just on a personal note of the longevity of coaching with Lisa, that was unique. Because for 32 years, you kind of, what do you think? Well, now that person's no longer there. My staff, I love, great. It's just 32 years of history in the tank, right? So that was, I mean, I think anybody could say that'd be a little bit of a difference. And more so, not anything perhaps basketball-wise, just the daily personal connection of that. So, you know, navigating that, you know, was different. But all good, because Lisa, man, Lisa's having the time of her life. We're with Billie Jean King, and then we're on here, and we're going there. And I could not be happier for her. And she is always at the ready if we would need her, anybody on our staff. And I'm so busy, I don't have even the capacity to really visit with her, you know, and she knows that. Like, we don't just chat often. But it's fun. I'll hear our staff, you know, they're like, hey, I'm leaving. I got lunch with Lisa. You know, I've had 2 or 3 of them say they've had lunch with her, you know, when she's in town. So she'll always be close.
With the emergence of Hayden coming in, you've got 2 veteran posts. What's kind of the pecking order there, and does all of this mean that Hannah gets to go back to her, you know, maybe a more natural position?
That's the $1 million question, Jeff, right? Yeah, I mean, Hannah is a tremendous power forward, and as Hannah showed last year, Hannah is a tremendous center. And I know there were questions early on about playing her, and we knew there would only be a couple situations where it would be difficult, and that's when we faced tremendous size, and that's what happened when we faced Cardosa in South Carolina, and it was evidenced. But there was only a couple challenges that we couldn't handle, and on top of that, you know, South Carolina was stellar in every regard. So I think the hand we played last year was the correct hand. I'll stand by that, you know, forever. Even if we wouldn't have gone to the Final Four, but just her ability to be a rim runner, her ability to rebound with authority. She's got there's intangibles that every coach will tell you that just makes you good. And Hannah's got the intangibles with her mindset and the rebound and the ability just to really compete. So 5 or 4, she's going to be great, you know, where you put her. Would like to play her at the power forward, which then opens it up for Ava Hayden, Addison O'Grady, and AJ Ediger. And there's 3 in the post. They're all doing a really great job, really great job. Addison's made great strides. Again, Randy's worked with her great this summer. So it just kind of depends on, you know, how we want to look in that. But I would say right now, you know, Ava's been really, as of late, as she gets more comfortable, starting to separate herself. But I expect Addison to have a critical role. You know, depending, AJ, just like last year, she battles and she's, you know, she'll be ready. And AJ had some big minutes, actually, against LSU when we won. So I think they're all showing great improvement. But I would say right now, Ava is really starting to separate.
We have time for 2 more, Adam and then Zach.
So, when you lose a piece like Caitlyn Clark, not only are the young players stepping into a bit of a vacuum, but some of the veterans are stepping into new roles too. So how has like Kylie or Taylor adjusted to not just standing on the wing and saying great shot, Caitlyn?
Yeah, that's what's fun, right? That is what's fun, because the team, as much as they would have loved another year like we had, another year with Caitlyn, they're also really ready for their time, and clearly understood that they wouldn't trade any second of the past time, and they loved it. But now they get a shot to take the shot. They get an opportunity to be the one that's the key stopper. And they have leaned in beautifully. Kylie is looking great. I'm so proud of her jump. Boy, Abby's been doing Abby Stamp's been doing great with all of her guards, but Kylie has a sense of confidence. Taylor is stealthy with that three again. They have a different level of confidence, and they're competing, right? Because there's a couple spots that are open, but they're doing it in a really healthy way. And I've been really impressed with their progress. And I think Lucy is really, growing and learning and understanding how we want to play. So that's really been fun. And Raina with her big dogs, the small forwards and wings, they're just a fun group. When we break down in our, there's wings and points and bigs, I hear a lot of barking over there, let's say that, right? But they're just leaning in. And I know it sounds Pollyanna-ish now, but you couldn't ask for everybody to compete and push each other and remain eager. They're giving us all we got. And we have our first closed scrimmage on Sunday, and we need it because we got different combinations and different things we want to really see against, like our guys know our plays a little bit pretty well already. So we're ready to take that next jump, but you couldn't ask for anything more out of these kids right now, especially when they haven't had Sid showing them how to do it on the floor, and we just got Hannah back, and we don't have a really backup point guard, so Lucy's been running overtime. So I'd say when you talk to our staff downstairs, I think they'd share that with them and their work, and they've been in. Guys, they've been in watching film, and sometimes it's hard to get freshmen to come in and watch film because they've never done it. But, I know they're putting themselves in a position. It's just going to take time. If everybody just gives this younger, we are rebuilding. I'm not setting us up. It just takes a little time. But when they get it, they have the potential to be really fun, really, really fun. And I just want that for them because they're doing it the right way.
Last one here was Zach.
Hey, Coach. Given that new dynamic entering this new season, the expansion of the Big Ten, you got USC, UCLA, Oregon scheduled playing before another sold-out season. To that point, what have been some of the ways that you've been able to communicate with the players in terms of just taking the pressure off of them and just going out and playing?
Yeah, I think what's important, especially with them, is that you just kind of keep them looking in the windshield. And we talked a lot about, just take that rear view mirror down, especially for the play of returners, but even for the freshmen because it's all new and you got to keep looking ahead. And ahead and next. The next opportunity is what I really want them to focus on. And, reminding them that it is a process. It's always a journey. And the Big Ten got tougher. The players are really, really good. Is just really challenging them to stay in this moment. Because if you listen too much to everybody telling you how great everybody else is and how much you lost, then it can seem to be a little heavy. And I just like how they're leaning into they got next. And I want them to really embrace that because we have added some great teams. Utmost respect for all four of those coaches and their programs. But we also have amazing teams still here. I mean, Brenda at Maryland, they're great. Terry Morin at Indiana, great. We've had a great league that it's every game is going to be a challenge, but that's what makes it fun. But I just keep reminding them to embrace this moment and who they are. And I think if everybody will just let this year's team be this year's team and not the one back there and not projecting what they should do or could be, but just let this kind of all ruminate and let them kind of start figuring it out. I think they can really have a nice level of success despite how great all the schools are.
Thanks, Jan.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.